Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. I'm so pleased to see the room full. We've got an exciting presentation in just a minute, but thank you all for being here. We will be presenting a couple of proclamations tonight, and then after that, we will have the open forum portion of our meeting. That open forum is the opportunity for members of the public to share their comments with the town board. I'll give some instructions on how the open forum works once we get there on the agenda. But let me first say that if you are watching us remotely on our live stream on YouTube, you're going to have to join us on Zoom in order to participate in the open forum or in the public hearings we have tonight. Of course, we've been doing that for years now, but if you need help getting onto Zoom, there are instructions on the town webpage. That's at www.townofbrighton.org. One of the things we've been doing for many years now is making all of our town board meetings accessible to members of the deaf and hard of hearing community. We have ASL interpreters at every meeting. Tonight, Michael Fisher and Samantha Geffen. Michael and Sam, thank you very much for being here. All of the materials that we'll be relying on, the agenda, all of our proposed resolutions, all the backup material is, if you're here in the room, it's on the back table. If you're watching us remotely, all of it is available on the town webpage. We will start with a pledge. I'll ask, if you're able to please rise. I will ask Councilmember Salzman to lead us in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have two proclamations tonight, and with everybody's indulgence, I'm going to flip the order that you see them on the agenda. So we are going to start with the celebration of Diwali. And Prashant, it's great that you've got, where are you now? There you are. It's great that so many people from the India Community Center are here with us tonight. Any or all of you that would like to join with Prashant up here at the head table, we'd love to have you. Come on up. Don't make Prashant feel lonely up here.
Thank you.
Diwali, of course, is the Indian festival of lights. It's celebrated in several different faith communities in the Indian nation: Hindu, Sikh, Jain, some Buddhists, all celebrate Diwali. But the central theme of light driving out darkness, of good driving out evil, of knowledge driving out ignorance, are common themes of Diwali. Here in Brighton, we have a long tradition of celebrating the many diverse communities that call Brighton home. One of the reasons Prashant is here tonight is because of his work on our IDEA board, our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board, which is part of the work, part of our volunteer and community and staff effort to make sure that we are indeed celebrating and observing the diversity that is so central to who we are in Brighton. The Brighton Central School District will be closing schools a week from Friday to celebrate Diwali, and the town board and I are very pleased to be able to join in this celebration of Diwali with this proclamation tonight, and I will be reading it here. Worldwide, Whereas worldwide, more than 1 billion Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, and Buddhists will celebrate Diwali, also known as the Festival of Lights. And whereas Diwali is a celebration that symbolizes the triumph of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance, good over evil, and starts upon the new moon in the Hindu month of Kartika. And whereas Diwali is celebrated by many local families who decorate their homes with diyas, the lamps that are so symbolic of the holiday, rangolis, the designs that are made on the floors out of colored sand, powder, rice, flower petals, and of course, electric lights, lights of all kinds, sharing sweets and exchanging gifts. And whereas Diwali is a significant season of celebration for South Asians, for people of South Asian descent, and for thousands of others, and in the spirit of Diwali, where light overcomes darkness, we're pleased to honor a member of the Brighton community who dedicates so much of his time to the promotion of inclusion, equity, and diversity in our community. And whereas tonight we recognize Prashant Prabhat, who preserves and promotes cultural traditions and shares his time and talents through civic engagement, not just his service on our idea board, but he also serves on the board of the Boys and Girls Club of Rochester, New York. So now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, along with the members of the Brighton Town Council, do hereby recognize and celebrate Diwali in the town of Brighton. We thank Prashant for his service to our community, and we encourage all Brightonians to learn more about this festival and to embrace the uniting concept of the triumph of good over evil. And this proclamation is signed this 23rd day of October, 2024, by myself and by my colleagues on the town board, and will. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Bill. It's an honor to receive this proclamation on behalf of the Indian community, and I would really like to thank my family and friends for joining in this moment. Diwali is a festival of lights. It's celebrated with joy and festivity across the world. I want to share a few reflections on Diwali, if that's okay. And hopefully these reflections resonate with many in the Indian community as well. I was born and raised in India. I came to the US 25 years back, US citizen, and Brighton is my home for the last 16 years. And as I have celebrated Diwali over these years, I have realized that it's not just a festival, but it's an important aspect of my cultural identity, the way we celebrate it. And it's not, and it becomes more important in the current place. As I'm member of the idea board now, I get to see so much diversity in our community, and it helps reinforce that maintaining that cultural identity is not only important for me, but also for my kids. I have two daughters who go to the Brighton school, and they really love the sweets and the fireworks and everything that they do on Diwali, but most importantly, they really enjoy the vacation or the holiday that they have on Diwali, and they're really delighted about that. And I really am thankful on behalf of the Indian community for that we are able to have a holiday on Diwali. So with that, I would like to conclude, and thank you very much for this honor, Bill.
The India Community Center is such an important part of our broader community, and I know the many times I've been out there for various events, it's always, I'm greeted, welcomed with open arms, and have the pleasure of the company of this great community. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for all that you do to make Brighton and the greater Rochester area a better place for all of us to live. Happy Diwali. And of course, you're welcome to stay, but we're not taking attendance. So anybody has to leave or wants to leave is welcome to. But we do have one more proclamation that I would like to read here tonight. Oh, wonderful. Oh, I am so pleased. We're going to hold on that breast cancer proclamation because we do have our Dia here to celebrate with light the Festival of Lights. Thank you. Thank you. Now, happy to all. And this proclamation is somewhat more somber, but also very, very important. We've talked at several of our meetings recently about one of the big reasons we do these proclamations is to raise awareness in the community. And tonight, that issue, that health issue that we are raising awareness of is breast cancer. Breast cancer is the most frequent cancer second most diagnosed cancer among women. But the good news is that when diagnosed early, has over a 90% 5-year survival rate. That reinforces just how important it is for women, but also men, because men, although in much smaller numbers, men can also suffer breast cancer. So one more example of why it's so important that we maintain relationships with doctors or primary care physicians or other healthcare professionals and make sure that we are screening for the diseases. One of the things that happened during COVID, so many people, the screening ended. And unfortunately what that means is now people are being diagnosed with conditions like breast cancer not as early as they once would have. And that really does impact the survival rate. So let me read this proclamation. Whereas breast cancer is the second most common cancer among American women, with an estimated 300,000 women and 2,800 men diagnosed with breast cancer each year. Whereas when breast cancer is detected in its earliest stages, either through self-examination or as a result of a mammogram, there is at least a 90% 5-year survival rate. And whereas the 2024 Breast Cancer Awareness Month theme, "No one should face breast cancer alone," serves as a reminder to doctors, agencies, and individuals to partner with patients and families in the prevention, detection, and treatment of breast cancer. And whereas prevention and early detection are the key to winning the fight against breast cancer, as more than half the survivors state that they first became aware of an abnormality in their breasts by themselves. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month provides an important opportunity to remind women and men to maintain a healthy lifestyle, perform self-exams, and get mammograms for early diagnoses. And whereas this is also a time to celebrate the incredible resilience of breast cancer survivors and their families and friends, and to remember all those who have been lost to this disease. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and members of the Brighton Town Council, do hereby recognize October 2024 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the town of Brighton, and we remind everyone of how critical early detection is in the fight against breast cancer. And this proclamation is signed this 23rd day of October 2024 by myself and by my colleagues on the town board.
White.
Thank you again so much, everybody, for coming tonight. Thank you especially for the Dia. Happy Diwali. We now begin the open forum portion of our meeting. We hold it at the beginning of every town board meeting. It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the board during any matter, concerning any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's on our agenda this evening. If you're here for either of the two public hearings on the agenda tonight, I would encourage you to wait until those public hearings are opened and your comments can be included in the record of the hearings. If you would like to speak during the open forum and you're here in person, you'll be able to simply raise your hand once I finish going through these instructions. When I call on you, please come up to the podium to speak. If you are participating remotely, you can still participate in the open forum. Again, you got to be on Zoom, so join us on Zoom. And as I mentioned previously, there are detailed instructions for doing so on the town's webpage. I am remiss, I'm going to stop right in the middle of that because I want to introduce the newest member of our town staff who is with us tonight. All of us up at the table know Sarah, but for those of you watching us, Sarah Krusenjerner has just joined us as our Chief of Staff. And Sarah comes with a broad background in not-for-profit administration, development, and as an attorney among her many skills. So we're really pleased that you're with us, Sarah, and thank you for being here tonight. So again, if you're on Zoom, you'll be able to speak during the open forum as well. Just use the raised hand feature on Zoom. I will ask everybody speaking during the open forum, whether in person or remotely, to please state your name and address before speaking. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer the questions you ask, particularly if you have questions that relate to matters that are not on the agenda this evening. But our goal is always, during the open forum, to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts or your questions or your comments with the board, and for us to be able to listen thoughtfully to your words. Therefore, please direct your remarks during the open forum to the town board, not to the room or to other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks and from outbursts of any kind, including applause or boos or similar disruption. That's out of respect for the other speakers and out of respect for everybody's time. We do not allow signs to be displayed. We don't want people's view of the proceedings to be blocked. Persons who fail to follow these rules during the open forum will be warned. Repeated failure to follow the rules or to follow other direction from the chair may result in your speaking privileges being ended early, being directed to leave the meeting, or early termination of the open forum. So the open forum is now available. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to address the board during the open forum tonight? Is there anybody on Zoom? I don't see anybody on Zoom either that would like to address the board during the open forum. If there's no one here in the room to address the board during the open forum, Chris, I will invite you to...
Thanks, Bill. I move that we approve the agenda.
Second?
Discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Again, we have 2 public hearings tonight. Before we start the public hearings, I want to make sure everybody understands the guidelines for those as well. If you wish to speak in the public hearing, once we call the public hearing open, raise your hand. When I call on you, please come up to the podium to speak. I will, of course, ask that you state your name and address. If you're participating in the meeting remotely on Zoom, again, use the raised hand function. We'll call on you, you'll be unmuted, and you'll have the opportunity to speak. In either case, again, please state your name and address for the record. Please direct your remarks during the public hearing to the town board, not to the room or other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks and from outbursts of any kind, including but not limited to applause or boos or similar disruption during the hearing. And of course, that's again out of respect for other speakers. Also out of respect for others in the room who may not be able to see, again, during the public hearings, no signs will be allowed. Persons who don't follow these rules will be warned. We really want to hear your remarks, but it's very important that we maintain the decorum. Repeated failure to follow these rules or failure to follow other direction from the chair may result in your speaking privileges being ended early or being directed to leave the meeting. Tonight we have 2 public hearings. The first is the second of our 2 public hearings on the proposed 2025 town and special district budget and the charges and assessment rules. We started that public hearing at our last meeting, and of course, public notice was given of both of these hearings. So I now declare this public hearing to be open. I have a couple of remarks. First, Earl made a presentation at our last meeting, and I don't know that you plan on doing so tonight, but I'll speak, and then if you have anything more to say, please feel free to do so, Earl. As we've said before, state law only requires 1 public hearing. This is our second public hearing on the budget. And that extra public hearing that we hold every year is just one of many stages in a budget development process that goes above and beyond what the law requires to be as transparent as possible and as thorough as possible. As I noted at our first hearing 2 weeks ago, wages and salaries are almost exactly 50% of the town budget. Employee and retiree benefits are about exactly 25% of the expenses in our budget. So those are really the drivers, not surprising. Local government is a service business. Our people are so important in providing those services. But what it means is when there is inflationary impact or other impacts on wages and salaries and benefits, it really reverberates through the budget. Now this year, wages and salaries, we expect them to rise at a rate greater than 3%, both due to our union contracts as well as increases that will go to our non-represented employees. It's really benefits that are driving the increased cost of doing business in local government. The town is a member of what's called the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust. It's a consortium of municipalities, mostly in Monroe and Ontario counties. We've been working for over 10 years through that organization to keep down the cost of health care. And every year, including this year, the cost of health care for the town is rising less than the community rates, which sounds great, but healthcare premiums are going up dramatically this year. Through FLMHIT, our healthcare premiums for employees will be going up 14.9% in 2025. Brighton employees, like all state and local government employees, are part of the New York State retirement system. Again, this is a mandate. It funds our retirement obligations to our former employees. And this year, our payments to the state retirement system will be increasing by over $300,000, over 10%. And over the past 3 years alone, our contributions to the retirement system have gone up approximately 50%, $1 million, from $2 million to $3 million per year in 2025. So again, very significant increases. In addition, and probably our largest, and we don't even know exactly what this number is going to be yet, except that it could be as much as doubling, and that is the cost of health care to our retirees, our over 65 retirees. Again, there are some special factors that are causing that number to rise dramatically in 2025, even though we're working with that Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust. So together, wages, employee, and retirement benefits alone will increase more than $1.2 million in 2025, far more than the tax cap, and that's before you get to other costs, infrastructure, equipment, and the like. So we're faced this year with the challenge. We're faced this year with the challenge recognizing that it is important to try to operate town government as efficiently as possible, mitigating tax increases as much as we can to continue to make Brighton an affordable community. Balancing that with the need to maintain the fiscal strength that has been recognized both by Moody's in our very strong bond rating and by the New York State Comptroller with our perfect record in fiscal strength that we received 2 weeks ago. Balancing all of those with, again, the goal of providing and maintaining and enhancing the high level of quality services that people in Brighton have come to know. So balancing all of that, and despite the double-digit increases in so many of these other areas, this budget provides for a tax rate increase of about 4.75% in 2025. I'm never happy with a tax increase, but this increase will allow us to maintain and enhance services and meet those mandates that we have. We're still waiting for a couple of the numbers on our special districts, our special assessments, but that is the tax increase that we anticipate for the town budget. I will now ask, well, I'll ask first, Earl, is there anything you want to add to that?
Just quickly that all of our expenditure types other than employee benefits went up less than 4%. So it was really in the employee benefit area that drove the increase. And the only other thing to mention is that all these materials are on the Town of Brighton's website for your review, and there's also a copy in the town clerk's office. And also later on, we'll be discussing the third quarter results, and all of that information is on our website as well.
Great, thanks. Thanks very much for that. Okay, is there anyone here in the room that would like to address the board on this public hearing on the 2025 town budget? Is there anyone on Zoom? I don't see anybody on Zoom. we'll give the board members an opportunity in just a moment, once we come out of the budget and have a motion and have any discussion. But again, I see no one here in the room or on Zoom for the budget hearing, so I declare the budget to be closed, the public hearing on the budget to be closed. I'll ask Councilman Salzman, the chair of the Finance Committee, to make a motion on the budget.
Bill, I move that we remove the public hearing for the proposed 2025 town and special district budget and charges and assessment rolls, and approve the 2025 town budget as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Thank you. Discussion. Again, I wanted to lay out an overview, but obviously we will continue to work as hard as we can. You're going to see an example tonight of an item where we were able to negotiate down fairly significantly one of the cost items as we come up with the revaluation for next year. That's just part of what we do on a regular basis. So we certainly hope and expect that we will, through this budget, be able to maintain the fiscal responsibility. We have a motion on the floor. If there are no further comments, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Our next public hearing is a continuation of the hearing, and we've held public hearings on this matter for several months. It relates to the condition of property located at 185 Kimbark Road, which has been determined to be unsafe under Chapter 51 of the Town Code. Councilmember Corrado, I'm going to ask you yet again if you would move to remove this public hearing from the table.
I move that we remove the public hearing regarding the authorization of the demolition of 185 Kimbark Road from the table.
Second.
Thank you. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. This public hearing having been removed from the table, I declare it to be open. Is there anyone here tonight that wishes to speak to this public hearing?
Good evening. Dustin Long, 185 Kimbark Road. I had thought of continuing the silence further, but I just wanted to represent what I've been receiving in terms of guidance or anything that needed to be done to the house. I've already spoken at length as to the many violations and laws that have been broken to make this happen, even though no guilt is being admitted, not an I'm sorry, not anything from anybody. But I just want this to be made right, and I think that the town has to come up with something to do so after what it's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board during this public hearing? This is a matter that, again, has been with us for quite some time. We've heard from Mr. Long. We've also heard of the goal of the town to work in collaboration with the owner of the property, and we continue to do so. But if there's no one further to speak tonight, I declare this public hearing to be closed, and I would ask Robin for a motion to act on the resolution that is attached.
Certainly. With regard to the authorization of the demolition of 185 Kimbark Road, I move that we adopt per Town Code Chapter 51. Again, that is with regard to the authorization of the demolition of 185 Kimbark Road per Town Code Chapter 51. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Again, I will say it again. this is, again, our goal is to work with the owner of the property, TJK Industries, Inc., whoever has and can demonstrate authority to act on behalf of TJK Industries, Inc. No one has done that as of yet, but it is our goal to do that. We would like to see this property, we always want to see our properties maintained. So the procedure here gives TJK Industries, Inc. the opportunity to do that initially for 30 days. And as a practical matter, we hope we don't go past that. If we do, we will have to go through a process of identifying through competitive bid a contractor to do the necessary work. During that period of time, TJK Industries will continue to have the ability to work with the town to restore the property to a habitable condition. Any other comments from members of the board? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. And Mr. Long or whomever has authority to act on behalf of TJK Industries, I continue to encourage you to communicate with council so that this matter can be resolved in a way that works for everyone. Next, we have communications. We have one item of communication tonight. We have the 2025 Brighton Fire District tax levy for their 2025 budget. It's been delivered by Ted Aresti, treasurer of the Brighton Fire District. I would note that when you go through their levy and the communication, you will see the same factors that we just talked about in terms of the town budget, the benefit costs that are rising significantly for those really critical public safety operations. So this is not a matter that we take action on. It's simply a matter that we receive a notice of their plans for the tax levy. Of course, like all of the taxing entities in the town of Brighton, taxes are collected by the receiver of taxes, Dan Amon. So can I have a motion to receive and file the communications?
Bill, I move that we receive and file the communications.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Committee reports, community services, Robin.
Thank you. The Community Services Committee met last Wednesday, October 16th. Among the items that we discussed was one item of communication with regard to the community center project. There was a discussion of updating the community recreation feasibility study page verbiage to make it clear to the community that the movement on the project has been tabled pending the completion of the town hall renovation project. Under continuing business, park issues, fields and bathrooms are open until October 31st. They will then be closed for the season and will not reopen until after the spring thaw. Buckland Park perimeter trail repairs and excavation are underway to reestablish the original pathway boundaries. Park crews have made tremendous progress and will complete the work once their equipment is returned from routine maintenance. Speaking of routine maintenance, routine park maintenance is taking place across all trails, parks, and facilities. In particular, Corbett's Glen routine maintenance is ongoing, including some boardwalk repairs. Parks crews are also working with Birchcrest within Corbett's Glen to achieve access to trees potentially needing attention in the gulch abutting Park Lane properties. An update to our recreation programs. Trunk or treat was anticipated during our meeting, but it has occurred and the weather was expected and did turn out to be excellent, which harbingered a large turnout. In fact, over 400 children. We thank all of our sponsors, but in particular Inex Architecture, who again this year was our main corporate sponsor. We would like to welcome Tracy LaFountain, the new Senior Citizen Program Coordinator, who started last week. Emily Kelsey's last day in the office was October 15th and was celebrated with a farewell party for her with our seniors. Our fall programs are underway and going extremely well. And finally, we had a discussion of Brookside space requirements and the anticipated restructuring of space within the building, which has yet to be scheduled. An update to our Winter's Farmers Market. We will be returning to the Winter Farmers Market barn on November 24th of this year, and there was discussion of parking lot lighting, particularly in the anticipation of use of the venue as a polling site. An update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board. We are continuing with strategic planning and evaluation of the work that's been done over the past year. We also discussed our Tuesday Town Talk series, which is scheduled to start up again in 2025 in 3 sessions on March 11th, March 18th, and March 25th. Topics including LGBTQIA+, women's history, and disabilities. An update to our Clean Energy Communities Priority Actions and Sustainability Fund. We're undertaking the rooftop solar projects that will advance the town to the 7,000 point threshold level, which qualifies the town for additional grants in the amount of $175,000 in NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities funding. We are also continuing to work on projects to further enhance the net zero profile and sustainability for the entire community. An update to our Pollinator Pathway Challenge. The town park sites that have met the criteria for the challenge have been identified and signs have been posted at those locations. We're also looking at the 12 Corners Park and Town Hall campus as potential additional locations to meet that challenge criteria. An update to our Town of Brighton annual Clean Sweep and Recycling events. October 27th will be our electronic recycling and paper shredding event. A bigger truck has been promised.
I can't help myself. I think of Jaws every time. We're going to need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger truck.
Right. And we have set our spring dates for the recycling event, which will be on May 31st, Saturday, May 31st. And Clean Sweep this year will be on Saturday, May 17th. We are securing the necessary permitting from both Brighton Central School District and Monroe County for Clean Sweep. Then under items of new business, we discussed the upcoming 2025 Community Services Committee calendar. There was a discussion of possible different date in February due to the anticipated attendance at the Association of Towns annual meeting and training. And there was also discussion of changing the start time to 10 a.m. to reflect the actual timing that we've been able to achieve following our Finance and Administrative Services Committee meetings. That was recommended by members present.
No quarrel on that. It is tough, for members of the community that want to be at that meeting and sometimes have to wait because we're finishing up the Finance Committee meeting beforehand.
We want to make sure we're being considerate and efficient in terms of everybody's time. So I think shifting that a half an hour might be more realistic than what we're currently trying to do. So, and then finally, we discussed Beyond Pesticides program for Monroe County and codifying the town's policy on pesticide usage. There was a discussion of our current practices regarding pesticide use and whether a written policy exists. And although we do not have a written policy, we did discuss the very, very limited use of pesticides, which is only in cases involving immediate safety concerns to the public, which is, management of invasives like giant hogweed or poison ivy or hornet's nest infestations where there's an imminent threat to the public, and that's really the only time that we use toxic chemicals. And We had a brief discussion of alternate management techniques, such as concentrated vinegar and torching and burning weeds. And then a discussion of the Beyond Pesticides programs and what's involved in attaining certification for town staff, which seems like a very limited barrier to entry, and the benefits seem to be very positive. So we are going to have an ongoing discussion of what town community boards should be informed and our potential involvement with that program. And finally, I just want to again update us on upcoming events. We had our Halloween trunk or treat this past weekend, but another offering that we have is our sensory-friendly trick or treating, which takes place at Brighton Town Hall main floor offices here at 2300 Elmwood Avenue, and that will take place on Friday, October 25th from 4 to 5 p.m. And this program is specifically for our friends and families who would benefit from a lower key, relaxed trick-or-treating event. There's no music, no crowds, just fun. So you can come as you are or come in costume, and all are welcome. Registration for this event is required and space is limited to ensure the best experience for our participating families. And we want to thank the Brighton Police Department Patrol Association for sponsoring this event in its entirety this year. Thank you so much. Our Drug Enforcement Agency semi-annual pharmaceutical take-back event will occur at Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And of course, our semi-annual electronics recycling and secure document shredding event will take place the next day on Sunday, October 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at the Brighton Highway Department, 1941 Elmwood Avenue. And we are looking forward to the return of our town of Brighton's Veterans Appreciation Luncheon for the 18th year. That will take place at the Carmen Clark Lodge at Brighton Town Park, 777 Westfall Road on Friday, December 6th at 11 a.m. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, November 20th at 9:30 a.m. or immediately following the Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting at the Brighton Recreation Center. Please do enter through the Winton Road entrance, and we look forward to everyone attending.
Thanks, Robin. And in addition to the Pearl Harbor Veterans event that we hold each year, we will also, although we don't have all of the details in place yet, but we will be holding our annual Veterans Day observance out at the Brighton Veterans Memorial on Veterans Day. So stay tuned for more on that. Next, finance.
Yep, thanks, Bill. We last met, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee last met on October 16th. And Bill, you summarized the budget very thoroughly. That was a big topic of conversation. The one thing I'll add is we've had 2 open budget hearings, whereas you've pointed out before, we're only required to have 1. And that's because, and we've also had these meetings, open meetings before Election Day. Because as I think you'd agree, we feel that Brighton voters deserve to see the actual budget and not just a concept of a budget. The rest of what we talked about in the Finance and Administrative Services Committee is on tonight's agenda. And our next meeting will be on November 6th, right here at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you. I like that. Public safety. Chris.
Bill, I reported on our public safety meeting held for October at our last town board meeting. Our next public safety meeting is November the 12th at 8 o'clock a.m.
Very good. Public Works, Christine.
Public Works has not met since the last town board meeting. Next meeting will be November 12th at 9:30 a.m. 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Officially 9 a.m.
We'll do it.
And you always hit the mark.
Excuse me.
And the public is, of course, welcome to attend.
Thank you all. And you know, those we say it a lot, but it always bears repeating. Those committee meetings, which again, most towns don't do, but they're really an opportunity. They serve the function of developing agendas for these meetings, but they're also an opportunity to drill down in a lot more detail into significant issues that may fit into one or more of the subject matters of those committees. So again, as you all do, encourage the public to join us. If you've got an item that you're interested in, please join us at those committee meetings. You'll get really an opportunity to bend our ear, and we'll have an opportunity to listen to you. Moving on, new business, reading and approval of claims. Nate.
Earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $722,850.43. Notable claims include a payment to Keeler Construction, a company, Inc., for 2023 East Ave sidewalk improvements, and a payment to Baker and Taylor, Inc. for children, young adult, and adult books for the Brighton Memorial Library as our town library liaison, and as somebody who comes home with big armfuls of books for my 5-month-old. I can tell you that program is much appreciated, everything that the library does for us. We're currently reading about the weight of different animals. And I have a bone to pick with, does a hippopotamus really weigh that much less than a giraffe? It doesn't sound right to me. I'll find the author of that book and write them a letter.
Height has its privileges.
That's right. But notwithstanding the weight of those animals, the claims all appear to be in order, and I move for them to be approved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none on that weighty topic, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine.
The next matter seeks to approve a budget amendment transferring $9,700 from the Department of Public Works full-time wages account to its part-time wages account to fund additional hours for the architect. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
This is something we do regularly, and it reflects the fact that Patty Hinckley, our architect, gets very busy during peak season. She puts so much time into reviewing plans and the like, and in particular right now, she's also putting a lot of time into work on the town hall project. So this recognizes that she needs additional hours to do all her work, and I am grateful for all the work that she does. So this is something I certainly support. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Signing that there.
Very well.
Moving on, when you get finished signing, Chris, I'll let you do the next one.
Bill, the next item is to authorize the disposal of 2 police vehicles, those being a 2018 Dodge Charger and a 2020 Ford Explorer, as surplus to be sold via online or in-person auction. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
I gotta believe someone's gonna pay good money for a Dodge Charger, so we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully that'll be a hot auction. Discussion on these? Again, we have our basic policy on vehicle use, and we put a lot of miles on those police vehicles.
Bill, I would just add that we review the vehicles as well, and we may repurpose one of those police vehicles for another department.
Well, the supervisor doesn't get a vehicle, otherwise I'd call dibs on that Charger. Anyway. Yeah, good. We've done that over the years as well. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Nate.
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Iron Mountain for records storage, relocation, and retrieval services in an amount not to exceed $48,240.32, and to execute any necessary change orders in a total amount not to exceed $4,824.03. I move that we approve this motion as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Thank you both. This is, again, connected with our pending move. Iron Mountain As you can see from the communication attached, we reached out to 4 providers of document storage, retention, scanning, and retrieval, and that retrieval is a really important part of this services. Iron Mountain was clearly the entity that really was A, local, and B, had capability across the whole range, not just storage, but the ability to scan, the ability to retrieve documents easily. As we move from Town Hall down to Empire State University for the next 18 months or so, it's going to be really important to be able to retrieve documents quickly, and Iron Mountain will give us that capability. They will also give us the capability of scanning and electronically storing some of those documents during those 18 months. So that's where this comes from. Further thoughts, further questions? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Robin?
Certainly. The next matter seeks to set a public hearing for December 11th, 2024, 7 p.m. at 680 Westfall Road for the removal and replacement of a 46-inch silver maple at 570 North Landing Road and a 33-inch Norway maple at 475 Oakdale Drive, and the removal of a 48-inch silver maple at 55 Kimbark Road. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Thank you, Robin. And I did hear, I could hear Jim just confirming. You did say December.
Yes,
correct.
December
Okay, it is
11th.
December 11th, which of course is again why I'll highlight the fact that this is at Empire State University, 680 Westfall Road. That's the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I hate to take down trees, but sometimes we have to. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Nate, the last matter of new business.
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with GAR Appraisal Services, LLC, for commercial property appraisals in an amount not to exceed $145,000. I move that we approve this motion as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
This contract is the one that I referred to earlier. GAR is a well-known commercial, primarily commercial appraisal firm located in Buffalo. We have worked with them in past reassessments, so they're very familiar with Brighton and very familiar with the commercial market in Rochester and Western New York in general. As you'll see from the letter, we've laid out some specific items that they will be doing and for specific categories of properties. And we were able, following some discussion and negotiation, to, there are certain types of properties, particularly not-for-profit, that are less important in terms of having the detailed valuation because they don't pay property taxes. But GAR will help us provide accurate assessments of the other commercial properties in town, which really range from medical offices, retail, even to Country Club of Rochester. So we have a wide range of properties that GAR will be helpful on. This is, again, an integral part of our upcoming reassessment, which will be taking place during 2025. Further comments? We have a motion. I know, Nate, you made the motion, and Robin, did you second it? Who seconded that?
Yes, I second.
Okay. Too busy thinking and not writing. Motion made and seconded. Any further comments? Dan, hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, I'll turn it over to Earl, our finance director, for the third quarter expense and revenue report. Earl.
Thank you, Supervisor. Every quarter, we review our financial situation report on that, and there are a series of 5 slides at the end of the board packet that do that. We have followed the same format this year, so I won't say much about the second slide, which is just a reminder of the budget for this year in 2024 that was approved. In the third slide is just a slide that shows the inflation rate over the past few years. The allowable growth factor has stayed at 2% or lower, depending on inflation. And in 2023 or 2022, inflation started to rise, and it was at 3.63%. This is according to New York State. In 2023, it was 7.74%. 2024, so far, it's a 4.52% average, and we hope it continues to decrease further. But we've already talked about that during the budget process and the challenge the last couple of years, how we've been challenged by inflation. The fourth slide in is where we compare our revenues and expenditures to our budget. There's a column showing the 2024 budget amounts, and to the right of that is a column that shows what percentage of that budget we have spent so far this year. And to the right of that is a comparison column showing where we stand compared to last year at this time. So total revenues to date, since we collect our tax revenue early in the year, that's usually a high percentage, and through 9 months it is 87.3%, whereas last year it was 87.8%. So roughly very similar. Looking through the detail, there's really nothing concerning. We know that 2023 we had surpluses in all of our funds, so it's a good comparison, and we're hoping to end 2024 with small surpluses in each fund. We look to be close to break even in each of those areas, so we will see the exact numbers at the end of the year. On the expenditure side, we have expended 69.9% of the total budget so far, compared to last year's 71.9%. That's a little bit lower, and the big reason for that is principal and interest payments changed somewhat during 23 and 24, so there's a little bit of a timing difference there. Wages is our big expense, of course, and we are at 66.1% so far this year, compared to 66.9% last year. And we do have an extra pay period for the final 3 months, which is another reason why that's a little bit low, and some year-end payments as well. So we don't see any red flags or anything at this time. When we look at 2024 through 9 months, and we'll continue to work with all of our departments to ensure they remain under budget and on track for the final 3 months. And the final slide just goes over some conclusions at the end of the third quarter, which are very similar to the ones in the first and second quarter. We talk a little bit about inflation. We talk about our collections and trends remaining consistent with last year. We've enjoyed higher earned interest this year, even though rates are starting to decline a little bit, but that has been another positive. We've been able to maximize earned interest through 2024 as well. And then we mentioned the importance of our sales and mortgage tax revenues to our overall budget.
Thanks, Earl. Thank you for laying all of that out and for continuing the tradition of strong fiscal management, it's not by accident that the comptroller continues to rate the town of Brighton with the highest possible score for fiscal strength. Thank you. A couple of other things, as was mentioned, we did hold our East Brighton Community Forum last night. It was an opportunity for residents in East Brighton to chat with staff. We'd love to see, more people come out for those. Again, like I mentioned about our committee meetings. Those meetings, and we hold one in East Brighton, we hold one in West Brighton every year, really are an opportunity. We make presentations from the board, but we give the public an opportunity to talk with our senior staff. Last night, sort of the keynote, if you will, was the presentation by our assistant assessor, Janine Whitaker, about our upcoming townwide reassessment. She had a video from the state tax department, a PowerPoint. We want to make sure people understand the meaning, the importance of reassessment, namely that everybody pays taxes on their fair value, that different properties are valued equally and are valued for assessment purposes at their fair market value. That's how you ensure that people not only pay taxes fairly, but also receive exemptions fairly. So this is an important process. We want to, and it's a hard one to dispel, we want to dispel that notion that, that the fact that the assessed value on your house goes up, as it almost certainly will, that does not mean your taxes are going to go up by that same amount. It's simply a recognition that with houses appreciating so much in value, and Robin, who is herself is in the real estate business, is nodding. We've all seen it. Anybody is familiar with the real estate market here in Brighton, especially strong for the Rochester area, knows that house prices have gone up and assessed valuations really can't keep up with that. So that's why we're doing it. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about it a lot at things like these neighborhood forums. So we'll be scheduling one very shortly. Our move put a crimp in sort of the available dates we could do it, but we will also be holding one of these in West Brighton very shortly. Speaking of the move, we are less than a month away. November 15th is Go Day. Town Hall will be closed, by the way, on November 14th and 15th to accommodate that move. It's a temporary move, but temporary is going to take a while. It's an 18-month duration, we anticipate. The magnitude of the HVAC project, the drainage and repaving, it's a big project, but in particular, the asbestos abatement and removal will make it a very big and challenging project. So starting November 15th, look for us down at 680 Westfall Road, Empire State University. You'll see some signage out front on Westfall Road. The library over on that side, the police and the courts will stay in their current location. Only the stuff that you get in through those main doors up the front steps are moving. Finally, Election Day coming up Tuesday, November 5th. Early voting starts this Saturday. Dan, I'm hoping I'm not taking your thunder here. Good. I believe there are now, I believe, up to 17 early
17
voting sites, including here in Brighton, Empire State University. Again, we say their name a lot because they are such good community citizens, and we're fortunate to have Empire State University and particularly their community relations director, Timothy Cosgriff, here as part of the community. But that will be an early polling site. But remember, if you live in Monroe County, you can vote at any one of those 17 polling sites. Maybe there's one close to where you work that's more convenient. Do it. But whatever you do, make sure you vote. Obviously, the presidential election gets all of the visibility, but there are federal and state, the U.S. Senate, Congress, state assembly and senate, right down to Brighton Town Justice on the ballot. And when you get done with that side of the ballot, don't forget to flip it over, because there is Proposition 1 of the Constitutional Equal Rights Amendment is on the back. So please remember to vote. Early voting again starts on Saturday. Election day is Tuesday, November 5th. That's everything I have. Matters of the attorney to the town. I know we have executive session items. Anything else?
Nothing else to report, Supervisor, and yes, one matter leading to the employment.
Two matters actually relating to the employment of
particular persons, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Matters of the clerk.
I have nothing this evening.
Matters of the town board.
Bill, if I might, because I have very close friends who have a grandson on the Brighton football team as a senior, who's doing exceptionally well, Wesley Stirrup, and not to pass his friends and teammates. He's having a great year, but the team itself, I don't know if people appreciate, 7-0. Brighton is not known for its as a football powerhouse, but of the 7 games that they've played successfully now, 6 they've scored more than 30 points.
Wow.
And 2 of them have been over 40 points. So they're having an exceptional year. They play Victor 7 o'clock Friday in Victor. The other thing, though, related to sports, I think, is Buckland Park. I had occasion to go out there with a new member of our household on a long line and had a real close look at Buckland Park and watched a number of youth football or soccer games, which is my sport, as well. That park is gorgeous. The services that we're providing through Matt Bayman and his very small department are really exceptional. And having lived here since 1988, when we had no parks that the town owned, and to see that park, it really makes me proud to live here in Brighton. And keep up the good work, Matt, and your group.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Any other town board matters? Well then, thank you to our ASL interpreters. We really appreciate having you here. Can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters relating to the employment of particular people?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss the employment of particular people.
Can I have a second?
Second.
I don't anticipate we'll be coming back into open session afterwards. Our next meeting will be, I didn't even write down the date of our next meeting. It's November 6th. No, 13th. 13th.
Yep.
November 13th. That will be our last meeting here at Town Hall before we make the move over to Empire State University. But November 13th here at 7 o'clock. Have a great evening, everybody. And again, to everybody that was here tonight and to all of our residents celebrating, Happy Diwali.